Are you ready to turn your dreams into a reality? Then you need to join the next round of the Dream Bigger Mastermind. Get on the waitlist today to secure early access and an exclusive bonus when enrollment opens. It's time to manifest your best life yet. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breathe More. I am excited for today's episode because we have Cyndi here, which I've known Cyndi for years during my acting life. We met through Kaz and then just seeing each other at auditions. And then when I transitioned 8 years ago into holding space for folks, Cyndi would attend my breathwork classes. And then in the last couple of years, Cyndi has been part of my Dream Bigger Mastermind. She's currently a client of Dream Bigger Mastermind. And I just wanted to invite her so that you can learn about her story. She has accomplished so many different things in Mastermind, and I wanted y'all to get inspired by her story and learn as well that you can join Mastermind and also just work on yourself and work on your healing. And then you can also set more tangible goals as well and manifest like crazy. She's the prime example of that. So welcome, Cyndi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So why don't you start by letting us know what inspired you to join Mastermind? The first round was last year, around this time as well, or over a year ago. Doesn't matter. I know.
Maybe.
It's been
Yeah.
continuous.
Yeah. Well, because I was a part of the collective before that.
Exactly.
And for me, it's been like I started with your breath work. And then during the pandemic, you created the collective. And I remember at that time, we were still, Hollywood wasn't moving yet. We hadn't gotten the essential worker label yet. So I was like, man, I would love to be a part of something like that. But I just can't see myself being able to do it. And I joined that. And then I joined the mastermind because then at that point, I was like, I need more. I needed to get out of the slump of the isolation that I felt because of the pandemic.
So you were looking for community.
Mhm.
I love it. Do you remember what your first couple of goals were when you joined the first round of Mastermind?
Oh, my main focus was voiceover or essentially other streams of income.
So Cyndi is an actress. She is phenomenal. You've seen her in a bunch of commercials. She has commercials airing right now. She's also been on TV shows. And so the thing with being an actor is you never know when you're going to work. And so it is very smart to try to bring in other forms of incomes. And so voiceover is another type of acting. And that was a concrete goal that you had to join. But I remember that a big part of the first round of Mastermind that you were a part of, we were doing a lot of healing, a lot of inner work.
Yeah, my life had changed a lot, even from when we first met to the beginning of the pandemic. I had just moved in with my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband. So like a lot happened. And I came to realize that there was communicating issues that I was having because I wasn't used to feeling my emotions.
Yeah. So one of the things with Mastermind is that you can have these goals, set them. But a big reason why you haven't already accomplished it is because there is some unhealed trauma there. There's some limiting beliefs. There's some habits that are getting in the way or protective mechanisms. And I feel like that's one of my gifts to help people identify like how they're getting in their own way, basically, how they're stopping the flow. And while one might be thinking like, well, okay, how does improving your communication skills help you manifest? Having good communication skills helps everything in your life, especially your home life. Like if there's stress in your home life, and I'm not implying that was the case for you, but if your home life, if there's tension or if you don't feel fully safe or if you're not feeling fully understood or supported, that's also going to affect your other goals, your other life, your professional life, your relationship with other folks. And so having that foundation is so important to being able to realize all your other stuff. So what were some of the things that you felt helped you improve your communication?
Because you think you meet the love of your life and you get married and everything's perfect and it'll all just work out. And I didn't know how to, I mean, first of all, just backtracking a little, I did not know how to balance personal life and work life. I pretty much put all of my energy into acting because you're told you're supposed to do that, that if you want something really bad, that, or that in particular, that you have to give it your all. So I did not know how to balance this new role of being somebody's life partner with my work. And then, especially the fact that the work itself was changing and we were doing it from home, that caused a lot of miscommunications from me not being able to communicate what I needed because I thought I'm not allowed to need anything. I just have to be this perfect wife, perfect actress. Oh, like everything's in chaos, but I've got it. And Mastermind was a place where I could take those things and number one, just hear myself say them. Number two, the feedback that I would get from the other women that had years of
Yeah.
experience of this. Being married wasn't new to them. And also hearing their stories. That to me is my favorite, I think. But it's also good to get things, to say things out loud.
Yeah, I do remember you saying that your own like friend group isn't necessarily living the life that you are. Like some of them are still single or their lifestyle is just different. And so when you
Uh-huh.
don't have that in your life, it's hard to know, am I doing it right or wrong? Not that there's ever a right or wrong way of doing things, but you can feel lost. And so to be in a community where people, as you're saying, have already been there, have already gone through ups and downs and can give you advice or just validate how you're feeling, that it's normal, it just brings a sense of peace and also helps you be more gentle with yourself. And that definitely, in witnessing you in Mastermind the first round, that was a lot of what I saw within you. Also, it's just an important reminder like people can't read our minds. And we forget that, right? We think like, wait, but this person, I'm married to them, or even with other family members, like, I'm doing all of this. Why aren't they automatically chipping in and helping in this way? Or why can't they see that I need support in this? It's like, y'all, they can't read our mind, especially like
Uh-huh.
men and women. They just have a different way of seeing things, communicating. I work with a lot of couples individually. So I really get the inside look of how the two different genders process things. And so for you, once you started to also be more vulnerable and just share what your needs are and allow yourself to receive, that's another really big thing for you in Mastermind that I think clicked for you, where you're no longer alone. You don't have to do life alone. You do have support. You have a husband. Like, allow yourself to receive that love and anything else that he can contribute and feeling deserving of it. And also knowing, like, I don't have to do anything extra or be, as you're saying, this perfect wife in order
Uh,
for me to be receiving of that. So, from that, how did things change in your relationship?
well, you say to someone like, hey, I'm feeling like this and this is what I need. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Let's make this adjustment. So there was now more of a conversation, even if the response was, well, I feel this way, then that dialogue was there as opposed to me not saying anything and things like building and building because it doesn't really go
Yeah.
anywhere. And I also felt that like I had buried my needs in all situations, work situations, friendship situations, that I didn't even really connect to it. So sometimes I'd be like, I don't know. I don't feel anything. I feel nothing. And in being challenged through Mastermind, I was able to be like, well, what is
Wow.
wrong?
Yeah.
And most of the times, it's not that I was upset at the other person. It's not something that the other person did. It's just a common reaction that I have when I would feel trapped or just fearful in general.
Mhm. With that, in Mastermind, we also did a lot of healing with you with your 20-year-old self. Cindy's really hard on herself.
I thought about that.
Yes.
I thought about that today because I posted a picture. Everyone's doing
The
the
21-year-old, yeah.
21. challenge. And I was like, oh, I've moved so much energy around this, which I didn't even know that I felt that way about that time.
So, one of Cindy's goals, as she mentioned in the beginning, was to bring more money into her life, more abundance, more wealth. And so she was trying to find different ways, given her skills, how to do that with ease. Yet she kept on repeating this story that she's not good with money, or she doesn't know how to invest, or feeling fearful that if she does acquire all of this money, that it's just going to vanish and disappear. And so we uncovered in Mastermind that's something that she experienced when she was in her early 20s. Yet she was still holding so much shame and judgment around her 20-year-old self. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. I mean, now it seems like, well, duh, I didn't know what I was doing, but um, I think I was holding my younger self to this very high standard of you should have known, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. Now we don't have the things that we want now because of past mistakes. And what we did work on was looking at the positives of who I was at that time. I'm a pretty gritty, independent, go getter person. And I just hadn't realized that continuing to look at that time, oh, I made so many financial mistakes was influencing my present finances.
Yeah. And once she forgave her 20-year-old self for not knowing, like, no one taught you what to do with money and how to invest it and all of that, right? It's when I was in our 20s, like, we're trying to figure it out. It's the first time we're out of our home, we're like flexing our independence. And yeah, you were able to remember and celebrate her and thank her for being so courageous, for being such a go getter, for not giving up, for being fearless. And who you are as a 20-year-old, that has also allowed you to manifest so much into your life today. And so once that part was reconciled and the shame and the guilt and just like beating yourself up for those past experiences, once you let that go, then all of a sudden, all of this beautiful manifestation started to happen. I also called out Cyndi because she's an incredible manifester. And as I mentioned, she's really talented and good at what she does in acting. Whenever she decides to work, she will book a job. So it had been a while in Mastermind that she hadn't told the group, hey, I can't make it because I'm on set. And I'm like, what is going on with work? And then she's like, oh, I'm doing this and that. I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You have all of this past evidence where when you set the intention and you call in that work, you make it happen. So I felt like that was another important reminder for you on how powerful you are. And that whenever you do want some money coming in or work or whatever it may be, you simply setting the intention because Cyndi is confident. She already knows what to do. She has plenty of experience. She has the relationships to get the auditions. And the only adjustment that she needs is to flip the switch of, okay, I'm ready to attract. And you did that. You set this goal of calling in more work and you booked a bunch of stuff towards the end of Mastermind.
Like from the beginning of my career, even before I had an agent, I booked my first national from self submitting for 2 weeks. I asked somebody at work, who's the best commercial workshop? I was told. I went. His commercial workshop was so busy. Killian's, by the way. It was so busy that I was like, well, then I'll sign up for a private. And like, once I set my mind on something, I don't even know that I was shocked when I booked my first commercial because I didn't know that it didn't happen that quickly for like 99% of people. So, yes, throughout my career, I have had these moments of stagnation. And I would say probably since 2016, a little bit before I met you, I realized that coaching and accountability were the places where I could go when I was stagnant and that there was something to be figured out. I didn't know what, again, because I was so out of touch with my own feelings. But luckily, I am a go getter. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to ask someone who knows because I don't know.
And that's been the beautiful thing to witness in Cindy too. I feel like it's just reminders of like, girl, like, you know what to do. You're powerful. What's going on in your mind that's stopping that flow, that's making it harder? And then that's where all the stories and limiting beliefs and past experiences and ancestral trauma comes up. And so the first step is just creating the awareness, shining light on it, identifying like, okay, is there a part of her that needs to be connected with, validated? Is there a part of her that
Mhm.
feels unsafe? And then once we do that, it's so quick. And it's just beautiful to see how quickly you're able to call things into your life. So, in this round of Mastermind, what inspired you to join for the second time?
Well, the first session, I accomplished my main goal of the voiceover. I took a workshop, I recorded my demo, I got an agent, and I booked a couple of voiceover jobs. So it was like, okay, cool, like complete. And then I went to Sedona, which was amazing. And I just felt like I had to keep going in that direction. I'm not done. I got so close to the women in Mastermind and not like, oh, like we're going to brunch or it's not even like we talk anymore. But in that time, I was like, I just loved having that connection with people and hearing about their stories. And I was like, I just want more of that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about Mastermind as well is that I do attract a really diverse community of people into the group. And we are learning about each other and past experiences and sharing resources. And there's collaborations that happen and friendships do happen. Like, yes, I do teach and hold space and I coach, but I also open it up so that other people can contribute. And there's so much value, as Cindy has been sharing, in learning from other people, especially if you in your life, like you're recognizing that your circle of people aren't necessarily wanting more from life, or maybe they're stuck in the drama and then just love to complain. And if you're someone who's into personal development, like that in itself can be draining. And it also makes it harder to continue being positive and moving forward. And so it is important to surround yourself with a group of people who feel deserving of going after their dreams, who see value in investing in themselves, and also are there to cheer you on and celebrate you and encourage you when maybe you start to lose hope or you're feeling a little discouraged or life happens and a challenging thing arises and you don't know how to handle it. You have a whole group of people there ready to hold you and tell you it's okay and to remind you to be kind on yourself. So, in this round of Mastermind, Cindy got inspired to create her own accountability group for creatives, which I'm so happy that you did that. So, a little backstory where I don't remember if it was this round or the first round of Mastermind that you were in, but you had shared with the group that you're in Mastermind. You're also in another accountability group with friends, and you were like in all this stuff. And I'm like, that's interesting. There's like duplicates. But then shortly after you reported, "Oh, yeah, my accountability group, it just kind of fizzled out because it's friends and they're not doing
Mhm.
the work, and it's just like the same thing over and over again." And part of me loved hearing that because one of the stories that people's brains come up with when they're thinking about joining like the Dream Bigger Mastermind, it's like, oh, I don't need that. Like, that's so much money. I can just do it by myself, or let me just grab my own group of friends and do it. And it never works because you need someone to lead it. Not only that, like having an actual coach or a guide to hold people accountable, to set the times and just get people to do the work. If it's not there, it's only going to go so far. And then the other thing is actually having an exchange, like where you pay for something. Because if not,
Mhm.
people haven't invested in it and therefore, it's so
So
easy for them to flake. And so that was your experience, right? With your friend accountability group.
yeah, it was something that we devised before it was still during the pandemic. And it was like, oh my gosh. And it was really like simple, like, what's your to-do list for this week? This is mine, this is yours. We'll reconvene again next week. And that I found it was helpful. But as time went on, yeah, it's like, that's over. The pandemic is over. We're going outside. And then I also had Mastermind, which was really getting at the root of things.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person that I guess I'm more like woo woo minded, right? I'm not a spreadsheet or color coding my calendar. That's not going to get me, like you said, to get up and move. It's going to be getting at what the root of the problem or the blockage. And I think that when you're working with friends, it's difficult for you to take the gloves off with your friend because you know that they might not be receptive to the information or might be too hurt that to receive it. Not that you're mean, but
Oh, I can be.
we're
I can get tough with the group.
yeah. I mean, there's a toughness that sometimes someone might not be able to take from who they think is just their girlfriend, right?
And the other thing around that is that oftentimes our friend group is kind of reflecting where we are in life. It's rare where there's like a big gap between where you are and where your friends are. And so there's this theory, which I believe is 100% fact, that who you are is a reflection of the people that surround you. And so if you're looking for more in your life, if you're looking to uplevel your life, if you're looking to manifest, a really big desire, then you need to be around people who are aspiring for that or have what you want so that you can
Mhm.
get up there. So Cindy's friend accountability group fizzled out at some point during Mastermind. But the cool thing about this new round of the Dream Bigger Mastermind is that she decided to create her own accountability group in a professional way where she is going to be charging, and this is for creatives. And when she shared that with the group, I was so happy because already Cindy was doing this on the side. Like people would constantly reach out and ask her for advice and sharing her resources. And I don't know if I had planted this seed. I'm like, why don't you do this since people are already asking you for that? Or maybe you thought of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just proving to you on how you could.
Yeah. I've had like 10 friends be like, why don't you do that? And I've always been like, nah, I don't want to do that. If somebody wants to ask me a question, I'll just answer their question. But I will say that after a while, you are, oh, you asked me that question 6 months ago. And then you ask me again. So I do believe that when there is not an exchange, there is sort of a like, so what was the point of that 30-minute conversation that we had?
Yeah. And then there can be some feelings of like resentment or feeling taken advantage of. And we don't want that. Again, that's why it's important to have an exchange. And so she's starting that this upcoming week, her group. One thing that I've been challenging you to do is to be more visible around that because you only did a few posts around that. So we also talked about that. Like, what is this about? Why aren't you? So can you talk a little bit more around that?
Yeah. A side note, I just listened to a podcast and it was Mel Robbins, obviously. Cool. But she is talking about the same thing with her daughter and how you have this thing coming up and you've done all of the work. And now it's like time to celebrate yourself, AKA post about it. And then you hesitate. I think I have a lot, and we've talked about this, just like a lot of like, oh, I'm not tech savvy. Even just saying that right now, like, I'm not tech savvy instead of I'm not tech savvy yet, which I know that in the back of my mind that that's how I'm supposed to look at it. And it's fascinating, I think, when you know something and yet you'll still fall again into that thing. But it's like now I have the tools and I master like the mastermind to be like, well, what's going on there? And yeah, I think it's a new thing. I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be effortless. I want it to feel like I want no resistance at all. But, I have to move through that resistance.
Yeah. And the perfectionism, like Cindy's on social media every day. She'll do some just quick posts. And so I was coaching her around them, like, you're already doing that. It doesn't have to be complicated just because it's a more official group that you're hosting. Like people also just want to see your face, just talking to camera. You're a performer. Again, you're doing this. But isn't it amazing how her brain went to the place of, I don't know how to do that, even though she does that every single day. Oh, I don't know tech. I mean, you just press the button on Instagram. Like, again, she's already doing this, right? It's like, you don't know tech. What tech is there to figure out? And so, with that as well, I help to shine light like, okay, that's not true, right? There's something there behind that that's really trying to protect you from not being so visible around it. Is it fear of judgment? Like, what are people going to say? Is there some fear of like, what if I don't deliver? What if people don't get results and they paid for this? Is there, I don't know, like just, I feel like there might be a lot of concern around judgment or also do I really want to do this work? My life is already so busy. Like, I don't know if I can hold space for 20 people. And so I'm barely going to promote it. So I only have a small group of people, like a way out, basically.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the perks of being in a group like Mastermind, where I'm like, all right, no, 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 no. What's really going on? Let's move some energy around that. Let's regulate your nervous system. Let's remind you that you already know how to do this. And whoever's going to join your group is because they want to be in your energy, because they have already gotten value from you, because they know that they can learn from you. And that's it. We're not responsible for other people on how they show up to something or how much they put into it. Like the only thing that we're responsible is what we do, what we have control over. And you are someone who's professional and you are committed. Like as you've been sharing, when you make a decision, you follow through, you do the work. And that's just another extension of what you've already been doing and how you live your life. But I'm so proud of you, Cyndi, because you have accomplished so much during your time in both masterminds, at the retreat in Sedona, in the collective. Like, I just have seen you step into this more confident, open, become a beautiful partner as well with your husband, bring in even more abundance into your life. And you're such an inspiration of what's possible, whatever your upbringing was, whatever mistakes you made when you were younger. Like it doesn't have to continue into your adult life. We can heal from that. We can reprogram our mindset. We can create new streams of revenue and change our financial situation. Whatever you desire is possible for you. And you're an example of that. So thank you for stepping into your power and being just so inspiring.
Thank you. Oh, just one thing back to what we talked about, the importance of being in a group like Mastermind and hearing yourself say things and then getting feedback from the group. Recently, or like at the end of the year, I brought up the strike, that I was having like some scarcity, like money scarcity feelings. And it's like, well, because of the strike. And you were like, but the strike that's over. And I was like, yeah, but like, you don't immediately start making money. And I was like, oh, I'm still wanting to hold on to that. And I do see people, even yesterday, I spoke to an actor who, oh, before the pandemic, I used to do that. This used to happen for me all the time. She's literally holding on to 2019. I'm having this conversation with her 4 years, 5 years later. And I was able to say that in Mastermind and like in that moment, be like, oh, I need to change that thought. So I think a lot of times when we're not talking about our goals or just the ideas that we have in our head with other people, then we're stuck there for longer
Yeah.
because I don't want to keep thinking about the strike. That is over. And
Yeah,
there
that
is
was in the
no
past.
point in looking back on it. It doesn't like looking back on it or thinking about how it like messed things up for me is not going to make me money at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's not going to help you. And then also, I feel like unconsciously, when people stay stuck in that, it's being in victim mode, right? It's like giving away your power. It's basically saying, I don't have control of when I work, how I make money, when I make money. And that's not true even for actors. There's always a way. You have to get creative. And Cindy's an example of it. She's like, all right, I want to bring in more money. What else can I do? Here she is hosting her own accountability group with creatives. And so that's really valuable for you to recognize and catch yourself. It's like, oh, I'm going there. And also, again, since I used to act as well, just recognizing that in general, I feel like a lot of actors do suffer from the scarcity mentality and every audition feels so precious. And it feels good to like bitch with each other and complain that there isn't enough or we're not making enough money. But you got to be really protective of your energy if that's not the reality you want in your life. And again, that's why it's important to then surround yourself and be in a community where people are not in that state, where they see possibility, where they're celebrating every single booking, where you don't have to hide your success. Because I feel like that has been another thing for you where it's like, oh, I don't want to announce that I booked this because so many people are struggling right now, or so many people aren't going out. But that's not helpful either. And a reframe around that is, well, what if you do share and then people can see, okay, if she's working, then that's a possibility for me too. So instead of being afraid of like, oh, I'm bragging or I think I'm better, no, it's like showing the world how abundant it is and that you have access to this too. We're not special. We just know how to work magic. And that's something that you learn in Mastermind. If anyone is on the fence about joining Mastermind, what would you recommend for them or what suggestions do you have?
So when I first signed up for Mastermind, I had just maybe been investing in the stock market for like a year. I'm doing like long-term investments in like companies that we know about, right? But I thought, oh, okay, so I'll invest thousands of dollars in Netflix, but I won't invest thousands of dollars in me. That doesn't
Mm.
really make any sense. So that was a game changer for me that I've never given myself a gift like that. Since joining Mastermind, I think I booked maybe like 4 national commercials, and I had gone about a year, almost a year and a half of not booking.
That's amazing. For those of you who are like, "What's a national commercial?" Basically, it's a commercial that airs around the whole US. It's the commercials you wanna get because you make the most amount of money. So that's amazing, congratulations, not to mention all the other stuff that you've been doing too to bring in more income. So moral of the story, folks, is invest in yourself. You'll get a return on your investment. It will change your life. You'll be amazing like Cyndi. You'll be in an amazing community, and you deserve it. Thank you so much, Cyndi, for sharing your story, for being part of the Dream Bigger Mastermind, for trusting me as well, just to be a guide and to challenge you and to remind you of what's possible for you and that you can have whatever it is that you want and you're able to manifest with ease. Thank you, appreciate you, and love you. And for those of
Thank
you
you.
who are on the fence, who are thinking, I invite you to reach out. If you have any questions, please let me know. Let's hop on a call so we can discuss what your dreams are. And I would love to guide you in this next round of Mastermind. I only host 2 a year. So don't miss out. Don't wait until the end of the year because that's what happens, right? It's like, I'll do the next one. And then a whole other year goes by. And then the same things just happen over and over and over. Dream Bigger Mastermind creates a disruption in your current reality, and we're able to help you get just different results in a short amount of time. So I hope that you are part of this round of the Dream Bigger Mastermind. Thanks, everyone. And we will talk real soon again. Thanks, Cyndi.
Bye.